Hi, aloha mai kako. Mahalo for joining us today for the 2022 Virtual Summit and Workshops. Kawaiwai no na Kūpuna, treasure of our ancestors. You are here with us for Lomilomi, your Ohana with PuaoEleili Pinto. It is Friday, March 4th. So for today, thank you for joining us. Mahalo. Humbled and in my humility, I present to you Ms. PuaoEleili Pinto and Lomilomi, your Ohana. Mahalo.
Aloha nui kako. Mahalo Uluwehi, my ho'opili. I'm so honored to be in this space with you and with everyone sharing. And I wanted to start actually thanking this conference for, I don't know if you guys saw on the email, but they actually asked for us to start even attending this conference by preparing ourselves with a hi'uwai. And so maybe put in the chat if you participated in the hi'uwai or you even watched the video about the hi'uwai. Just say a yes or put hi'uwai. I think that actual action of preparing into a venture and really cleansing off. Yes, hi'uwai. So I just learned that Uluwehi actually produced and shot that video, which I'm like, wow, she's a woman of many skills. Yeah, and so the act, I feel like when you do a hi'uwai, you're really spending time to observe in a space and ask for permission to be there, observe what's going on there, listen to how your body is interacting with that space. And so if you do hi'uwai, and also, oh, sorry, the last part was really important that you ask that, oh, I'm going to leave now, but so whatever was here is going to stay here. And so if you do hi'uwai, that is really that similar shape is actually what Lomilomi is all about. And so, yeah, just wanted to open with that. And I'll start my presentation before I start going on about it. And thank you for everyone that has your cameras on. Hi, Kim. Hi, Christine, Naomi, Megan, and Jazz, and Joy, Kaume Aloha, and Tammy. Oh, there's so many people in here. It's so nice that you guys chose this session of all the places. Oh, hi, Kahala, my friend. Um, so new friends and old friends, it's so nice to see you. Thank you for joining. So yeah, so this is about Lomi your Ohana and some of the hats that I wear. So okay, I'll step back. Ano ai ke aloha kako wau PuaoEleili no kailua mai au no ku'u one hanau. Ua hanau I o wau ma Castle Hospital and launa ma ke kahiwahi aina e o Boise, Idaho no ke kahiwa ku'u wa Kamali'i. Launa ho'okahi makahiki ma Hilo ho'i ma Kailua. So oiaku kanui o ko'u noho ana launa ma Kailua. And actually ho'omaka wau I ka'u wa Lomilomi ma Kailua ma Ulupo. And so I'm super honored to be here. Kailua on Oahu is where I've spent most of my time learning and being educated by this place. And these are my two Keiki. And this is Ulupo. It's so fun that this is actually where my Lomilomi place started, my journey started, and my Keiki get to interact. And so, yeah, I'm a mom, a Lomilomi La'aulapau, Palewahine, which means I kokua with around birth, childbirth, researcher and a doTERRA wellness advocate. And you can engage me more with at Instagram. And so Eve ʻoiaʻiʻo is what I'm known on Instagram. And so before I actually start to share a little bit about Lomilomi, we wanted to take 10 minutes and actually engage with where you guys are at with your, like, what do you think is Lomilomi? I think it's a really important step before, like, just like when you hi'uwai, what are you going with your intentions are. And so can people please add in the chat, or you can unmute yourself. What is your definition of Lomilomi? Oops, sorry.
Well, sorry, real quickly. Were you sharing a slide with us?
Oh, you couldn't see my slide?
No. You want to time?
Oh, what were you looking at?
We were watching your beautiful face.
Oh. Yeah, I was sharing. It was just this picture. It was just me and my Keiki. And so, can you see it now?
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, it was just us. And so, but right now we're just on this question. And so, yeah, is the chat open already and accessible? Oop.
Yes, it is.
Okay, I'm going to stop share, and I wanted to read some of the answers. Aloha Vince from Aotearoa, wow. And so, yeah, please feel free to unmute and start. We're going to be here for 10 minutes. And so, yeah, to move energy, I love that. Intentional therapeutic space, co-created with the individuals, the land, the elements, deep healing. Oh, I love that. Massage, using hands to heal. Lovely. Massage to heal. Yeah. Oli. Oh, Oli can be a part of it. Massage, physical, mental, and spiritual. Love the body. Oh, somebody is Auntie Margaret Machado. Thank you, Kehaulani. Love the body. Yeah. Oh, thank you, Kim, for saying, I don't know anything, except I want to learn and heal and how to help others in a spiritual space. Thank you for, yeah, whatever. Thank you for adding to that conversation of just you coming with an empty slate and open umeke. Harmonize the body, massage to relieve pain and uncomfortable areas. Yeah. Healing the body. Thanks. Rejuvenate and replenish body and the soul. Wow. I love that. And then if you guys already have Lomi knowledge, can you put in the chat like some of your kumu names? I think that would be a fun addition too. Who did you learn Lomi from? If you have any Ohana knowledge, or your tutu even, or your someone else. Mākua Yates. Oh, hi. Sean Chan. A gift to help our Ohana and others to bring lokahi, both physically but mostly spiritually. Caring and centering oneself and others. Aloha Mākua Yates. Aloha Catherine Julia. Okay, just about one more minute of people just adding their mana of where they're at with Lomi and their understanding. Healing the body through hands, massage to relieve pain and uncomfortable areas, rub or to knead. Love the body. Massage, physical, mental, and spiritual. Aloha, if you're just joining us, we're just adding in the chat, what is Lomi? And so we'd love for you this day, or even any kumu names you would like to put. My sister Pippi wanted to learn, but she passed away unexpectedly a few days ago. Thank you for adding Pippi's name in here and for continuing on her legacy. I just met a woman that her older sister passed away pretty at a young age, and so the younger sister carries the older sister name as an attachment onto her name, and so she's doing that. I think that's a really beautiful part. Okay, all right. Thank you guys for being patient and sharing that. And so I'll go into my presentation. And so, yeah, what is Lomilomi? And so ale pauka ike ka hālau ho'okahi. And so not all knowledge is from one source, but I love about that there's a hālau. So to be able to recognize where your knowledge comes from is a really important thing, trait within Lomilomi. And so this is Auntie Margaret Machado. She's from the Big Island, and I've never met her in the physical. Oh, I'm not sharing screen. Thank you, Uluwehi. Just want to see my. Okay, now you guys can see my stuff. Okay,
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, so Auntie Margaret Machado, and so I really wanted to start with her because of her her smiling face and her you can tell even from this picture she's not like a 6-foot wahine. She looks like around 5 feet and stuff. And so even though that she was this little petite lady, she had such a big energy around her. And she would say, aloha and prayer are the essence of Lomilomi, touching the body with a loving touch. If your hands are gentle and loving, your patient will feel the serenity of your heart, and their soul will reach out to yours so that Lord's healing will flow through you both. And I have a couple more quotes from her. This one's kind of similar but different. Your hands reveal your heart. If your hands are gentle and loving, your patient will feel the serenity of your heart and the Lord's healing will flow through you both. Remember, Lomilomi is a prayer work. And so the person I actually learned from was Kamaile Puaoi, and she learned from Mākua, who learned from Auntie Margaret Machado. And so even though I never physically met Auntie Margaret, I really think of her and this specific quote when I'm doing Lomi. And so I think what is beautiful, what Auntie Margaret had left, is that yes, she has a specific genealogy. So I spent years with my kumu. I've been with her since 2010. And so she, after 3 years, she decided she's not going to do Lomi. And so within the 3 years is when I was studying with her every day. And if she had a workshop, I would attend with her as her workshop and help her teach Lomi 101 again and again. And then she would also send me off to a lot of community Lomi places where I would be honored to sit in a tent with some of the people that are in this workshop. And that's how my Lomi got refined. And so that, and I've actually had people that I've Lomied that got Lomied by Kamaile or that got Lomied by Auntie Margaret. And it's not the whole time that I'm Lomiing, but when I do the specific strokes that are within this genealogy, they say it's just like a hula dancer. The way that she steps, the way that she moves, you can tell her kumu. And so that's the beauty of working with a kumu, is that you get to be really refined in some of your places. And so what I loved about my kumu is that she was really open flowing so that I could find my own touch. And so that's what I wanted to encourage today, was that this little bit, if you do take it away, what Lomilomi is that it reveals your heart. And so that's why Hi'uwai is so important, that, we learned in earlier sessions that our people are really, there's a lot of trauma that we've inherited. Our health disparities are quite off the charts. And so when you Lomi, you have this person in all their beauty and their trauma, and they're trusting you. And even if it's just your Keiki are trusting you. And so you don't have to go through like the generations of trauma for just that moment. You get to just love them and accept them for where they're at, and remove the ego from it, because you know that Lomi is a prayer work. So you're emptying your vessel out, you're asking for kokua. How can my body help this body that is on the table? And then she also, Auntie Margaret said that Lomi is the touch of aloha. And so I love this quote from our queen, and she really defined what aloha is. So I'm actually just going to skip to the second paragraph. If you don't already know this quote, it's a really important one for us. So to gain the kingdom of heaven is, there's a spelling error in this, to hear what is not said, to see what cannot be seen, and to know the unknowable. That is aloha. I love that the queen put this as that's what aloha is, because that's what, and if Lomi is the touch of aloha, then to touch somebody, you are hearing what is not said, you are seeing what cannot be seen, and you're knowing the unknowable. So aloha gives us the sixth sense of what is possible. And we have so much to tap into. When we approach Lomi as a space. And I feel like it's very approachable, because it's nice to have aloha in your ohana, and then especially for your keiki. Auntie also stretched that I breathe with the person, the ha to exhale pain. And so it's a joyful thing, even though that we are all these vessels of pain and love. We get to choose to have joy in the moment, and something to release our pain very simply is to breathe out, to inhale your breath. Let's do that together. Take a big breath inside. Where is the pain in your body? Is it in your shoulders? Is it in your back, your hands? Take a moment of your breath to locate that, and then to exhale. And just by doing that really simple act, your breath can take away pain. And I feel like that's such an empowering thing that is so easily stepped, that sometimes we feel like we have to go to somebody to take away our pain. We have to go through all these, climb the mountain to fully take our pain away. But Auntie Margaret left us saying that when you breathe with somebody and you get to exhale, you're able to exhale pain. And so this is how Lomi shows up in our ohana. Usually I would have my kids with me. They actually come all over the place with me. But they're in a really delicate stage. I think that's why I'm crying extra often. Yeah, their puna's on their way out. So their grandma, they don't have much time. And so my son is 5 and my daughter is 1. And for me, I have all 4 of my grandparents. And so, yeah, my kids are, instead of being here and teaching you guys all Lomi as our family, they're spending the last couple days with their puna. And hopefully those memories will last till they're older. But I love how this morning's talk, they said, bring your keiki everywhere. And so this was some Lomi events that I go to. I think it's so important that I take my son with me. And so on the far right, that's him. He's cleaning my Lomi table after somebody. And when you take them when you include your Ohana in this practice of bringing them to Lomilomi, they're learning how to sit quietly. They're learning how to observe the body, and then just even them being in the space. So this is my daughter on the ground when I'm giving a Lomi. Having keiki energy has been really healing for a lot of people that actually come onto my table. And so, yeah, it's such an important space for not only to Lomi your own keiki, but to have them come to spaces when, if you're gonna go to a Lomi, bring them. And it's interesting what they learn and they pick up, because yeah, they always are picking up something. And then this was when I was giving birth to my daughter. What I love about our Oiwi birthing practices is that our kane have such an important role. And that they are our #1 support system. And Lomi is the gift that our kane can give to us day in, day out. And so yes, there's specific strokes that you can learn, but I want people to always know that it's a really intuitive work as well. And so just learning to press and squeeze the body. Where is it? Asking, where are your pains? Does this touch feel good? Does that touch feel good? That act is so important, because if you practice that long enough, you'll get to hear the body in a different way. And so, and how the body reacts to your touch. And so when we come to really special spaces, like when birth is a ceremony, knowing that birth is a ceremony, you can use Lomi, and it's nice to help a woman flow through that space. And so on a very basic level, it's a way that you connect to somebody. And so I just hope that to encourage you guys, if you are in that age of giving birth, that you include your kane in the process. If they're willing, if they want to show up for you in this way, this is a way to welcome your kane into that birthing space, and that you guys are really helping each other flow through it. And so here's a Uluwehi, can you send that video? And so it's kind of fun, like Lomi doesn't have to be, I mean, if you're going to like walk through someone through their deepest trauma, that's when you want to get a kumu and learn through that. But to start Lomi, you just need to give the keiki time and space to explore. So you heard my son saying like that, and then him laughing and him falling and him learning his dad's body and his dad encouraging him. And for you to Lomi your keiki like that, and for them to Lomi you back, this exchange, you get the pilina that you guys get is really, it's this magical moment that you guys can bring each other to each other, bring each other closer. And I'm often really surprised that, when I'm in my tender state, or I'm like crying, or am I stressed, my son, who is still 5, he will grab my hand and he will start to Lomi my hand, or if we're in the car, he'll even like grab me in the back of my neck, and just he knows that at that, like what to do when certain emotions arise or certain pains go up. And so encouraging your family, that's what the beauty of having Lomi in your ohana is. is that ability to have tools when someone is in pain or someone is sad, that you actually have something to give, and it's your touch of aloha. And yeah, it's just learning to explore the body as well, because I love that my son, when he gets hurt now, he can articulate what part of his body is sore and how to touch it. And like when I'm loaming him, even though I'm the mom and I know better and stuff, it's a time to actually have your keiki vocalize their sovereignty. And so they're telling you, oh mom, that hurt, that's too much pressure, or that's too little bit of pressure. Oh, that feels so good. So they're learning to communicate how to feel in their body, and they're communicating that to you. And I feel like that's a really important way to build trust with your keiki from a very tender age. And yeah, there's just so many gifts that you can have from bringing Lomi into your ohana, and it's a really simple act. And so we love to Lomi at the end of the day after everyone has showered. It's our nightly routine, how to do that. And it can, sometimes it's only a couple minutes and sometimes it's a couple days. I mean, that'd be nice to get a Lomi for a couple days. Maybe it's a little bit longer than that. So whatever you guys have capacity, just the main time that you guys are articulating, oh, how can I take care of it? How take good care of you right now. And I'll share my screen again. And so, and a really important thing that I included inside my Lomi is essential oils. And so I wanted to share a little bit about this tool, and also what this company is doing for Hawaii. And I think that's an important part. Yeah, so essential oils have, especially specifically from this company that is supporting the regrowth of our native forests. And doTERRA actually has increased the number to about 2 million trees that they're sourcing to help KFs, Liliuokalani Foundation, many other foundations that they're helping to bring our trees back. And so I love that I can include these oils in my Lomi practice and with my keiki, and know that they're from a quality source and they're actually giving back to our aina. And so just, I wanted to share a couple quick things about what makes the difference of this, because I feel like if we're coming to it with an intentional heart, that we should be using quality products as well. And so what makes doTERRA a little bit different than other essential oils is that they're 100% pure. If it's an ʻiʻiʻahi oil or a wild orange plant, that's the only thing that you'll find in the bottle is what is actually they're marketed. Other ones have a lot of synthetic materials that actually degrade the healing properties of these plants. And so these are really potent. So you want to be careful of how to use it, but they're effective. And so I have a story about my son. So he's kind of kolohe. His name is Ka'iana. And Ka'iana is very, I was told, so his whole name is Ka'iana Ahu'ula Koloko Kamaile. He's named after an ancestor from his dad's side and then one from my side. They're both ali'i, and they told us that if we name him these both names, he's going to be very hard-headed, very strong-willed actually. And so it's our job to work with him and not break his spirit in any way. And so Ka'iana does what he wants to sometimes. And I tried to, he was throwing rocks one time. I was trying to tell him, "Mai kilo e kela pohaku, he Kūpuna kela," and he wasn't listening. And I was like, "Okay, nahu kela pohaku," and please don't throw these rocks. These rocks are our ancestors. And he didn't listen, so he kept throwing it. And then the rock did bite him, and he comes back to me with a black and blue finger. And if you ever got smashed by a finger, by like a compression wound like that, the longer that it sits is the more that it's going to get painful. And so I was really grateful that it was actually the ʻiʻliʻahi oil. And then I had my little kit here, has just like a handful of my oils. And I was able to put a couple drops on his finger, and the pain went away. And he went straight to the mihi space. And so that he could actually hear my teachings, and then and he was able to say, "Kala mai kūpuna, I'm sorry for throwing you, and that was not right." And so if, it could have easily spun to another space of it being like him just being crazy in pain, and then I have to go to like a drugstore to go get something off the shelf, something random off the shelf to help to get the pain to stop, or even just trying to move it in some frantic way. And then that lesson of, no, we don't throw rocks, because that would have taken a lot longer to get there. But for it to be instantly put inside, and then I lomied it just a little bit to move some of the pain, it works. That's why it works so well together. And it's affordable. So it just took one drop to have his pain be erased. And then there's many other uses for the oils. And so there's 3 ways that we use them. And we're always using them in our phones. So aromatically, you just smell it. You don't even have to rub it on your body to get the effects of it. It's just like when you go into get surgery and you are getting put down by an anesthesia, they're putting a mask on you so that, and within seconds you fall asleep. Well, you don't have to just have that in the hospital. You can actually have that in your home. And so just by smelling an oil, this actually is what has helped me as a mom. I'm 30, and so I'm in the middle, but I still have a lot of trauma that I go through, and anger for both me and my son. And so for me to show up in a little bit positive space, me and my son are always passing back this specific oil that helps to calm me and calm him. And so that we can have that space of coming back to aloha. You can see that in the second picture, topical. So Ka'iana knows how to take care of his sister with this really simple oil where he can roll onto her. And then internal. This is a really important part of the quality of essential oils. They can all be marketed in the store wherever you buy that. They're therapeutic, 100% grade. But if you look on the little label, and some of them will say, even though it says 100% pure, it'll say aromatic use only, which is scary, because if you can put a lavender leaf, if you can eat a lavender leaf, then you should be able to eat the oil of it. And so if you cannot even, if you only can smell it, if you only can put it on topical, there's actually something else inside the oils that are degrading it. And so for me to include this into something that me and my ohana turns to, it needs to have these qualities. And so just a bonus that this company is bringing back the force for our keiki. And so I have another video for Uluwehi. Sorry, that was embarrassing at the same time, but that is my son. Do you use a carrier oil? So some oils that you do need a carrier oil. So one of the oils is copaiba, and that it helps with a sore body, but then it also helps with the teething. And so depending on the case. And so if I'm going to put the copaiba in my daughter's for her teething, I'm not going to use a carrier oil. I can just take a swipe around the rim of the bottle and then put it directly on her teeth. And then if it's a stronger oil, then I will use a carrier oil. And so carrier oil just means that it slows the process of absorption inside it. And so that's why it's important to kind of get to know your oils, to know which ones need a carrier oil, and test it on your body. I never put anything on my kid's body that I don't put first on my body. And that's what I was taught in many different other fields, especially la'au lapa'au. And so that was just a night of us getting ready for bed, and you saw that that I was just rubbing his back with it. And so, yeah, so it's just as simple as that. And so I have a couple of videos of me breastfeeding, and you can just the fact of rubbing up and down their spine, there's a lot of nerve endings. And so that one that I was doing is very calming for Keiki. And then if you're pairing it with oils, the smell can actually calm them down as well. And so you can lomi their feet to help calm them. But I feel like calming your Keiki is a really interesting thing, is that sometimes when I'm loaming and my daughter's around me, I can just look at her and send her healing, calming vibes, and she will sometimes fall back asleep. And so, and then it's also, it really matters. Like for me, before I lomi and I have my daughter with me, when a Keiki cries, they're actually asking for something. They need a little bit more. And so, and you don't have to give them a lot, but they need intentional time together. And so holding them, loaming them when they're not crying is actually how you start to fill up their cup. And so when they're really full of your attention and your love, that they can actually play by themselves more. And so I only have 2 Keiki. They're really young. And so this is only what I've learned from observation of using them. But I've learned that if I have a lomi scheduled at 1, that means from like at least 1 to 2 hours before my lomi session, I'm giving my daughter a lot of personalized attention. And so that in the lomi, when I'm not giving her my full attention, she doesn't need me as much. And it's just like sometimes it's just talking to her or making sure she's set up. And so that's one thing that I feel like when you're talking about calming a Keiki, you first acknowledge why they are not feeling good, and maybe they just need more hugs and cuddles. And that was something that I read from Inuit women. For them to hear a baby cry is really weird for them, because they spend so much time holding their babies and carrying their babies, that's what the babies actually need. And if you do that enough, then they're not crying and fussing. Kehaulani, do you have anything else more specific of, or like context wise, of when you needed to help calm your baby?
I think just some strokes that we can take away with as parents or grandparents here in this workshop. But I about the back. Yeah, that was helpful.
Okay. Let me go grab my baby then. Okay. So this is my baby Moana, my baby in placement. And so, yeah. So how old is your baby? Is this context of the baby?
My kids are a little older, but 6 and 7.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, I think for babies, like laying them down and also telling them like, yeah, mommy's gonna lomi you, and we're just gonna see how it feels, and just like verbally talking that and be like, whenever you are going to, this was something my kumu taught me, that before you even touch a body, you need to ask for permission. Even if you made that baby, they're still their own sovereign beings. And so to ask permission before you touch a baby is super important. And even from like infancy, like my baby that is just born, I still do that. And I ask permission if I can lomi her. And then it's kind of crazy. Like when you ask permission of a baby, you get a yes or a no. And so that's one thing that I think is really important, is that we listen for the answers, and that we actually teach how to communicate to our babies. Because my daughter doesn't talk with words, but she's very good at communicating what she wants. And it's because I took the time to like look at her in her eyes and wait for her permission. And so it's never too late to like start implementing that. But especially if you're entering into the Lomi space, you want to make sure that you ask permission. Can I Lomi you? And so I like to start loaming on the back, and so you'll have your baby like that. And so the way that you hold your hand is all different Lomi strokes. And so if you're having it like open like this, if you have it open like that, if you have it like that, if you have it like curved like that, everything is different. And so that's what my kumu taught me, is that your body is meant to, like, if you have it flexed or if you have it more relaxed. And so knowing the shape of your hand and how it fits into it, and it's really just doing it again and again to understand what it does. And so you put your ilar, your hinu or coconut oil on top of your baby, because just the oil, you know, when you like are pulling the skin and you're pulling the skin, I like to actually touch my kids without any oil first, because from their skin is the first telling if they're hydrated or not. And that's a really important key, because there's another kumu that I didn't learn from her for very long. I just spent a couple of days here and there with her. But Auntie Fran Dudoit from Molokai, she's working at Waikiki Health Center, and we have her to thank that we're protected on the legislation level for healing practices of Lomi, La'au, Ho'oponopono, and La'au Kahea. And so if you can trace your genealogy of education through that, Papa'olokahi is that housing that we don't need certificates for these practices, that our community protects that. And so Auntie Fran Dudoit, a side note, she taught us that. But Auntie Fran said that she will actually not Lomi patients when they are dehydrated, because this is when it will actually do the adverse health of it. And so you want to make sure that whatever body you're going to Lomi, they are hydrated. Because when you're loaming, you're kneading the body, you're releasing toxins on the physical level. And if the person is not hydrated, and before and after, those toxins will reabsorb. I think they're called lactic acids. I'm not exactly sure, but those things will get reabsorbed into the muscle, and they'll be more sore. And so your Lomi will actually do more harm than good. And so hydration is such an important part. And so if you have water by you, I would highly suggest take a sip. I get dehydrated just thinking about dehydration. Thank you for Kim, your facial expressions are really helpful. Thank you so much. And I'm grateful that you took a sip of water with me. I can see you in my little screen. Yeah, so that's the first steps. There's a lot of things that happen before you actually come to the Lomi. And that's, we want to make sure that we're just not nilly-willy with our Lomi, even in the simplest sense of it. And so, some of the things that I learned from my kumu, and so kind of hard to like on this little one. So, but if you put, so at the shoulders of your baby, you can actually put your thumb in like this, and the way, and you should see how your thumb fits into it. And so you can actually do it to yourself. So this is your trap muscles. And what you're doing is you're putting your thumb, you see this line right here? This line is where your thumb is lining up. And so, and then your palm, you see how it curves like this? And you see how there's this curving right behind my clavicle. So your hand is meant to fit into your body and your other body. And so that's the marking points for what I use to line up. And so I do it on both sides. So it'd be like this. So my thumb is like cupping the neck. Oh, sorry. Then on both sides, you see how I'm holding it, baby. My thumbs are across from like this. And then there's a difference when you're at this part of your body. You can push I would go towards the toes. And so you're not pushing down, you're not pushing side up, you're pushing straight, very parallel towards the feet. And so you're going in this motion. But you're just staying at the hips, but your mana of how you're holding yourself and the whole body. And so this is actually one where I was taught this is actually can be a really good starting position for Lomi, and it's where you gain trust. Because if you think about it, we carry the weight of the world on our shoulders. And so people can be really guarded at this space. And so some of the first opening strokes is to gain trust and to ask permission. You physically ask permission, but now the body is actually going to be receiving or not to your touch. And so when you just have this really grounded, rooted position and you're moving forward through that intention, that is a good opening stroke. And then you want to be cognizant of how you're standing. It really makes a difference. And so I think this is what makes a difference of how people can Lomi for hours versus like 5 minutes is all in your stance. And so if you know what the horse stance is, you kind of have like a squatted, rooted position. And you're like, you want to make sure that so this is something from Kūpuna Souza. He's another Lomilomi that I got licensed from. So it's a tripod. And so where you touch the body, where your shoulder is lined up. So you want to make sure it's not broken. And then how your feet are touching the ground. And so it all be in like a nice triangle, plumb, square, and level is what he says. And so that you can move with that kind of energy. And so if you're standing up, that's great. Or even if you're sitting down, you're still imagining that there's a triangle that you're building with the 3 areas of point. And so, yeah, you want to make sure you are just aware of that. And again, this is something, if you're in person, it's a lot easier to explain, but just keep the ideas of that, of how your body is placed. And if you're having aches in your body from loaming, check your position. And so, yeah, so you start over here and you just open. And so you do the first position is going straight down to the toes. And then the next position is that you're actually doing a glided in and out on the traps. And so on yourself, you're kind of just pushing and you're moving back and forth like this. And definitely put oil on. And then I think when you Lomi yourself, it's nice to just feel this muscle. So this is the top of the muscle, where's the back of the muscle? And so when you're Loaming yourself, you can use your fingers and you start to knead the muscle and just see where it is at. And then you can go through the backside and how you touch with your fingers. So you're not like nailing in with your fingernails. It's kind of at the ball, but kind of, so where I'm pressing is actually all my pressure is right here, just below that. And that's a little bit more softer of it, less specific is what they said. So it's a really broad type of pushing when you press with that part of your fingers. And so, yeah. And so, yeah, just play around with your body, your kid's body, and just see, oh, what does it feel like when I press like this? What does it feel like when I press with my whole palm down? What does it feel like when I press with my palm and my fingers? And so every time you change the position of your hand, your fingers, the tautness, the specific, it's a different Lomi stroke. And so just first being aware that how you hold your body is going to, the body that you're going to receive is going to feel it. And there's so many factors to play with. And so enjoy the process. And so after I open the neck a little bit, then that's when I can go down, up and down the spine. And so you have the spine in the middle of the person. And so I was taught to Lomi on the side of the spine. You're not directly on the bone. So even when you're up here on the neck, that's what your area points are. So there's a hard bone here. There's a hard bone here. There's there's a bone here. And so you're going in between the bones, as like you're going really, really close to the bone, because that was something that you're peeling off the bone essentially. And that's a nice way to relax these muscles. And so you're finding where your bone is. You're not putting the pressure on the bone. Just like do that. It feels really weird. But you're going really close. So it's interesting. If you press on the bone, to me, it feels weird. And then when you press, like the bone is literally like a hair away. And then you press and you start to peel off of the bone. It's like a whole different relaxation kind of a feeling. And so this hyper kind of tension is what you're teaching your fingers to feel for that and to see with your hands. That's when you have that micro understanding of it. And so, so you're feeling that. And then it's the same thing wherever you are in the body. And so if you're going down the spine, you're going, so your whole hand is going to go down the spine, and your thumb is going to again match up to next to the spine. And so if you need to like go up and down the spine and actually feel where what it feels like up and down the spine, do that just so you have orientation. Make sure you're doing those type of palpation with a really light touch to explore the body. And then you can go in more with the intentional harder stuff. And so your hand is flat. And so when you go up like this, when you're going down the spine like this, you're doing that with the pads of your thumb. And so this whole, so if you turn your hand again, you turn your hand like this and you go up and down the spine like this, that feels different. If you turn it up like this, it's different. If you have a really soft, relaxed hand, that's different. And so all these factors plays into what does your child like? Because sometimes your child might like this is one of the most soothing. Like you should always start with this soothe is what my kumu would say. And then if they want more pressure, then you make your hand a little bit harder and you do that. And then you put, so I can change my hand, the tightness of my hand to add pressure, or I can actually put my body weight into it to add pressure. So there's all these different ways to add pressure. And what my kumu would always say, Kūpuna, she would always say, erase, erase, erase. And so if your kid's like, that hurts, then you actually need to erase. And so you erase with like this really like erase, erase, erase. And I thought that was really magical, because as you're learning, as you're playing, you're going to make mistakes, and to actually have acknowledgement and mihi for those mistakes is a really important aspect. And I still use it every time, even though I've been doing Lomi for like 12 years. Erase is still something that I include into my practice. And so erase is important. And then, so you start off over here and you're just going up and down. Oh, mihi, it's kind of like an acknowledging sorry is what mihi means. Let me get it means more than just sorry. Repentance, to repent, to apologize, to confess, to repent, apologize. Yeah, so to be sorry. So to acknowledge that you did something that wasn't, to apologize. I always like to just look up those things just in case. What does it mean in Maori? Is there any other questions? Actually, is there any other questions? Is this helpful? I can actually just view everybody. So we actually had a poll on here that you could actually pick where you want, because I think after an hour, I wanted to just check what areas people wanted to go into. And so even though this was for Lomi or Keiki, it's really applied to anyone if you can lay them on their back. But can you run, Uluwehi, can you run the poll to see where people want to continue to, what pathway to go down? readings. Thank you. Interesting, Maori. Are you able to run the poll? Should I do it on my end?
Okay, we are running the poll right now. Cool.
Okay.
I'm going to give you a moment-to-moment update highlights. So over half of everybody's responded thus far. It's okay if you don't respond, and it's okay if you're not able to. This kind of just gives us an idea. The poll says, what would you be interested in learning more about today? And the question is regarding Lomi. So one of the options is Na'uihu, which is yourself. Loming or Pe, which is for a baby. Hoa, for your partner. And then Wahine Hapai, which is a pregnant woman. So the responses have slowed quite a bit. And we currently have Na'uihu. We have self at, it's vying for the top with Hoa and your partner. So those are the two. They're like at 37, 36 together at the top. Both of them.
Nice. Okay. Does that mean we have to do both? We can do both.
Girl, you still have what? How much? You have at least half an hour.
So Na'uiho is yourself. And Kim's partner is voting too.
Okay, I screenshotted it so you can have it to see after.
Oh.
Okay. There you go. You good to go?
Yeah.
Right.
So yeah. Always ask for permission, even from yourself. Can I Lomi myself? And so I think I'll start there, and I'll spend 15 minutes on that, and then we'll go 15 minutes to a partner. And so so if you're going to Lomi yourself, you sit in a comfortable position, ask yourself, and because everyone is usually at a screen, you're going to start by just sitting up straighter and releasing your shoulders and pushing them back, because they're always going to go forward. So take a deep breath. And then my head just naturally wants to fall back too. And so movement is actually a Lomi as well. And so you can just start to roll your shoulders back and just start to come into your body. Like Auntie Margaret said, you breathe with the person. And so you need to take a couple breaths. Breath work and Lomi are helpful tools for each other. So you release your shoulders back. And then what I usually like to start off is, so I locate my sternum. And so this bone right here in the middle, you can feel it's the harder part. And tapping was something that, again, another kumu that I just spent a couple moments with that impacted me forever was Alva Andrews. And he would always tap. And so again, you want to tap with your really the hard points of it. So the tops of your fingertips is what you're tapping with. You're not tapping with this part. And so when you tap with the top of it, it's a really more direct, specific type of tap. And so he would specifically tap in the middle of the sternum. And that's, you're like activating a force field. You're like your bubble. If you're like, everyone's like, oh, I don't trust this energy, you can like tap right here and like you can actually like activate a force field. That's what it's kind of crazy. And so you're kind of activating that. You're going to go into this malu of yourself. You're going into this protective layer of yourself. And so that's what I like to start off by tapping. And then you're doing up and down the sternum, just in the middle. And you can feel like there's like a little voice box that you can like gently tap up, and like you're just feeling, oh, what is this all around here. I think it's really helpful to, like, when I'm loaming, to actually look at like the bone structure or the nerve system. And so that's next level. But then you'll see that you actually have a bunch of ribs that come right here. And so you go lightly first, and you're going but finding where each rib starts, and then that meaty space in between your ribs. And so for me, just touching that space makes me want to take a deep breath. And there's just something blocking in for mine. And so what I think is really beautiful about a lot of Hawaii is we have like 57 different words for breathing and breath, and we even have diseases that have to do with our having flabby breaths, our breath and flabby diaphragms. And so if you notice that you're only taking shallow breaths, like spend some time loaming your whole area where your lung is, because there might be something blocking this area. And if you have asthma or something as well, you're going to want to spend time here of really making sure that your ribs and the space in between your ribs are free flowing, because whether you notice or not, until you start touching it, you don't even realize that there's something clogged in this space. And if you had essential oils, this is where you would really love to put. If you have eucalyptus, this is a really good time to put it. Breathe oil really helps to open the lungs. Cypress, like anything to help open and strengthen your quality of breath. Like just touch yourself and love it. And then what I like to do is, so I can find one rib right here and then put my fingers really pointedly, as much as I can bear, between, so the rib is in between my two fingers. So this is my rib, and these are my two fingers at the base of it, and you press down. Take a breath. So you press down, you take a breath, and then you move to the next spot. Take a breath, and you just really specific, and you're moving the whole length of it. Taking a breath and stepping right in front of it. And then this is something that I learned that Auntie Margaret did. And then you could do soothe. So this is like something that she said, and then how I've incorporated it into my own understanding. So her understanding was, her teaching was light, deep, deeper. And so you're changing the pressure. The first time you do that, you're doing it lightly and you're doing it all the way across. Then the second time you do it, you're going to do it a little bit deeper, all the way across. And then the third time, you're doing it the deepest. And so each time you're peeling back a layer of eha, or a layer of something that is there. Yeah. Oh my gosh. And this same thing is that you can use for your sinus. I just saw it in this thing. But your sinuses are right here next to your nose. You can feel, play around with this area, and also helps to look for, if you have a picture there, you have sinuses right here, you have sinuses right here, you have sinuses right here, and in the middle. And so if you have sinus pressure, that same pressure that you're pressing in between your ribs, you're going to press right here, up here, and in between here. And then in the middle. And that's how you relieve. I get sinus pressure when I fly. And so before I fly, I do like a sinus lomi for sure. And then I have allergies too. And so this is something that I always do. But, and then, oh yeah, so this is something I just do instinctively. So after you're pressing all over, you want to make sure that you do these cleansing motions. And so same thing over here. So that's something that Auntie Margaret would style, is that once you do hard pressures, then you do soothe after. And it's always in strokes of 3. And then what I heard that she would do was, because you know how we're taking little steps forward, you're leaving an imprint or something. And so she could actually walk up to a body and be like, oh, you missed a spot. You missed a spot over there. And like, it's because like eventually you want to do that to your whole body. And energetically, you're increasing that flow of your whole body. And she could see, again, she sees with aloha what cannot be seen. And so she could tell where a part of the body was not touched. And so, yeah, so when you're doing that, when you're doing these little steps forward, it makes a difference if you do a little step or a jump, because the idea it is. And so again, this can be, I'm going really slow because, you know, I want you guys to know these parts of things. But when I do it myself, you can do it as fast. And if you only have 5 minutes to Lomi yourself, at least you took a couple of deep breaths, you opened your shoulders, and you opened part of your lungs. And so you can do it really fast down all the spaces, and then you want to make time to do it. And she would always say, one side is going to be jealous. And so if we gave really quality time to one side, we want to do it to the other side. And if you only have time to do one rib today, then at least, you know, you got to do the other side and make sure it's not get jealous. And so I think because we are in a pandemic of our respiratory, if you can only Lomi one thing on your body, another way to create a whole defense system is to strengthen your breath, strengthen this place and cleanse it out. So when you are touching yourself like this, you are cleansing and you're bringing blood to that area, you're bringing circulation to that area, and that's what strengthens your body. And so by you just simply rubbing yourself and then wahine, it's really important to like lift your susus up and like go under it, and kane as well. Like this area is not kapu. It's like we get breast cancer from not touching it, and this is what mammograms teach you. Like, this is your body, like my temple. Like, I get to touch every single ounce of my body and make sure that there's flow and there's restoration in it. And I'm I'm ending my breastfeeding career, but like if you're breastfeeding, like this is the most important thing. If you're getting mastitis all the time, you need to be loaming your nene, like again and again, like, and actually this will bring in more milk. And so the specific lomi of you like loaming like this, loaming like that, loaming down, yeah. Yeah, and so loaming like that is, and so yes, if you fractured 3 vertebrae or your ribs or anything, loaming like this is actually how it's going to help you heal faster. And if it's on your vertebrae, like make sure if it's fractured, like a fresh fracture, you're going really soft, but that's the beauty of essential oils too. It like helps to bring in a whole nother layer of healing. But when you do these types of light, specific, specialized lomi, you're bringing that blood to help heal what was fractured. And in the hospitals, they're like, oh, you know, if you break a rib, there's not much they can do for you, but there's always something that you can do for yourself. And this simple lomi of loaming your ribs, loaming everything like that is something you can do for yourself. Would you move under the breast from side to sternum to drain the lymphatic system? Yeah. So your lymphatic system is all in this area. And so that's why we put deodorant in this area, and it matters what kind of deodorant that you're putting on. If you're putting something with aluminum, you're going to inhibit your body's ability to detox. And so, yes, by touching this area, and you can like squeeze and grab, I have a lot of like extra lumps, things. And so, yeah, celebrate everything that is your body. And like, just by like stimulating it like this, at helping your body increase its ability to detox and drain and stuff. And so women, we actually are prone to breast cancer is because one thing that a really beautiful soul came, they're actually looking for la'au for breast cancer. And they said that women get breast cancer because we love so much. We want to love everybody, and we hold everyone in our poli. And but holding on to the eha for everyone, we want to take it from them and put it into us. This is what makes us sick. And so as a Lomi person, the same shape of us, a hi'uwai, when you approach a body, what is yours, and what is mine. Like you want to make that distinction, because sometimes you want to protect yourself on one level, and on the other level, sometimes they have to go through this, like, pain is what builds you stronger and what what makes you into, you level up through pain. And so from you taking someone else's pain away, they're missing that lesson in the pain. And so this is like patient as healer paradigm, is that you going through your struggle is what is your medicine that you need to help to go through it. And so we can be there to support you and aloha you, but you're going to be the one to move through your own pain. And so breast cancer, if you're doing that, we have to be draining this area and being cognizant of what energy we're holding in this area. And so that's why you're going to move out and you're going to cleanse this area, and you're thinking, erase, 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 move, move, move. Whatever you need to say is in this area. Okay, so that was about 15 minutes for loaming yourself. And yeah, and imagine that whole thing. You can go through your whole body, your whole area, and just like tap and touch and everything. It's really important. And just hear where your body is acting, because like once you start touching one area and this area is feeling all good, more parts of your body will be like, hey, what about me? And so there's only so long that you can ignore your body. You want to make sure, like, okay, you acknowledge it and say, okay, I hear that you're sore. I don't got time for it right now. Can you give me a real deadline? And be like, I will come back to you in a little bit. And your body is so important. Like, this is your home. Like, wherever you go, your body is what's the vessel that is carrying you. And so it demands your greatest utmost respect. Like, I was raised in the LDS church, and our bodies are a temple, and I full on believe that. And so if your body is a temple, you need to acknowledge it and clean it and do the things to make sure that you have a home for as long as you're here on this earth. And for you to not do that is a disservice to everybody. So make sure that you acknowledge where your body needs it, and that you address it later in a reasonable timeline. Because if you ever been like laid flat on your back and you're not moving at all, that is from neglect of your body. And if your body stops working, you're done. And it can only go so long of you putting it off before it will come back for its vengeance. And it's a very humbling experience. I've been there. And so if you're going to lomi your person, so this is a very intimate lomi. It's really important lomi. It's not the place where you're going to start on another person. And so we're going to switch minds to now we're going to lomi our friends. And if you don't have a table to lay down, like you're going to have let's lay down. We're going to actually be sitting next to each other. We're sitting together, and you're going to ask permission. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Well, thanks, Kalina. Okay. It's kind of disorienting when I'm kumupua. I'm still like so much of a student myself. But let's go back out of it. So you're loaming your friend. You both are sitting together. And so a really nice way is when you're loaming somebody else to gain trust is your hand. You know how you handshake? Some people handshake. And so that's a nice place to start. And so I like to start with, so most in your hand, the biggest muscle to find is this thumb pad. And so I don't know if Moana's hand is big enough for this, but I like to bring my fingers under this. So if you're grabbing someone else's hands, you're going to put your thumbs under here, and you're actually going to feel wherever they land. You're going to be over there. And so starting at these points is a good place. And you're going to have two thumbs. So imagine there's two thumbs here. And so wherever you grab. And so you can start by the base of it, and you can start to move up. You're pressing pressure all the way up. You're going around this thumb pad. You're saying hello to this muscle, and you're finding out, you're learning all the different hands, the muscles in your hand. And if you ever looked at a body chart of the hand muscles, it's so cool. your hand is already broken up into it. And so in Reiki, I totally lost the name of it, but there's a specific type of massage where you can Lomi the whole body through your hand and your feet. And so that's actually like why we spend the time to like touch every little inch of it, is because everything, is it Reiki? Okay, I think so. Reflexology. Thank you, RS. Reflexology. And so, yeah, so if you have a stomach, I only know a handful of it, but if you have a stomach ache or you want to make more milk, you like this space, the webbing in between here is like, I have no idea what the breast milk and the stomach ache come together at this point, but you can do both in this by just like loaming this little meaty part. Yeah, so look at the chart. And so do that to your friend. And then you're with your two hands, you're just going back and forth and you're doing like this Reiki. So you're pressing pressure and then you're raking to the side, putting pressure, raking to the side, putting pressure, raking back and forth. And then now you do the soothe. So you did the specific pressure. And so wherever part of the body is, I tend to do that. I always like introduce my touch and then I do some hard pressures and then I do soothe. And so that I think is a distinct quality of Auntie Margaret, is because some places you only do hard pressure. You have really cool energy. And so what I enjoyed about Auntie Margaret's teaching that is different than other genealogies is that hard pressure and then that soothe. Yeah. And so and then so you can do like spend really good time here going up and down, and then you can with your hands you can go up and down, and then so your thumbs are under here, and then your hands, like if you're holding another hand, you can either hold it like this or you can hold it like this. So these are two different ways. And so if you're going to switch to holding the hand like this, then let's find all the different phalange bones, and you're going in between each bone, just like the same way that you went in between your ribs. Your body is just like a fractal of itself. It's so cool. So the same shape that you're doing for the ribs is you're doing the whole in between all the fingers. And so you're really spending time. It's really easier if you have a friend and you're using two hands, but I guess this is self-Lomi partner style. But yeah, so your whole wrist is made up of individual bones. And so you want to make sure that you're doing little tiny circles between the spaces. You're doing little tiny, like more pressure with your elbow, your thumb. And then, yeah. And then you're going to be, this is one thing that I really liked about this pressure, is that, sorry, my son's is calling. Hello.
Mahalo kako. I know we're almost up in time, and then we'll have our closing keynote speaker at 2:30. So we'll let Pua malama her ohana, and when she gets back on, we will kind of close it out. Mahalo for your patience.
Okay. Sorry. Thanks so much. Just because when the family, I'm not even with the my Kane's family anymore, but like when they call, it's still like, because their mom is the one that's passing. And so thank you. We're okay. Yeah, we're okay. Anyways, so the last thing that I wanted to share was that, thank you. So the last thing is that you want to make each finger feel really special. And so this is a little like rolling that you're going to be doing. And so each, you're what you're imagining is good energy flowing back in, and you're also pulling energy out. So you're doing two things at once. So you're pushing in and you're pulling back out, and you're moving backwards as you're doing it. And then you want to make sure that you have a really good pinch at the end of the finger, and then you're pulling out. And then this is a specific thing that I was taught, like when you're doing that specific imagination of you're pulling the bad out, when we have it in your hand now. So you want to make sure it's really important where you put it. So do not fling it on your kid, do not fling it on someplace. What I learned actually from Aotearoa was that Papa, she doesn't, like the earth, she doesn't feel pain. She only knows energy. And so you're taking your pain out and you're giving it to Papa so that she can actually recycle it into something else. And so wherever you are, you want to make sure that you pull it and you're giving it with that intention. Every single finger gets that type of intentionality. And then once you lomi anybody, this was one thing that I'm OCD at, is that wash your hands. So you just lomied yourself, you lomied your baby, everyone, but there's something that's a residue left on your hands. And so you want to make sure that you really take the time, and that's my time to like close up that energy of thank the body for letting me work on them, and then washing down the drain all that extra eha. And so like you don't have to tattoo yourself if you have like you're working on lomi, but you do have to have that acknowledgement that your hands are these special gifts, and that you hold it and you're pulling it out, and that it needs to be washed away and cleaned. So like I don't grab my kids after I lomi somebody. Like even if my daughter's like in the middle of a session and she's crying, like I'll let her cry and I'll need to go wash my hands before I grab my child. Like that, I think, is something that's really important, that a really special gift, that the simple act of washing your hands can be a ceremony. So yeah, okay. I think I had one. Yeah. Is there any other questions last minute? I know we don't have that much time. We don't have, if you have a question, you can ask it. And then.
Yeah, let's just go ahead and take one question if anyone would like to unmute and ask. All right. If not, you can leave some mana'o in the chat. Mahalo nui. Pua, I'm just going to share my screen real quickly and we'll close out. So I know Pua you're doing a workshop tomorrow as well. Correct? Yeah, so we'll get that.
Yeah. Oh,
there we go.
If you guys wanted to like get in touch with me again, I don't know why it's like that, but you can, this is my Instagram. It really helps if you like, comment, or share my stuff if you like it. Or you can email me directly any of your questions. Yeah, so I'll just leave that. And then, okay, how anything else you want to say?
I'm just gonna quickly, I'll pull up I gotta quickly share one more slide.
Oh, okay.
Some, ending mana'o. So mahalo again for attending our workshop and our HCP Summit today. If like Pua had, you can email her directly or follow her on Instagram. And in the access pass that you were emailed, there's the link to I believe it's Kekuhi. These are closing note keynote speaker. So mahalo kako, and we'll see you at closing.
Mahalo, everybody.